In one notable scene in the original film, the cook approaches the house and sees the hitchhiker. They have an altercation at the truck where the cook beats the hitchhiker with a broom handle and clearly shows off the relationship between the two characters. The reason that the scene works so well is that it's entirely real. Jim Sedow, the cook, was actually beating Ed Neal, the hitchhiker. Car. In one notable scene in the original film, the cook approaches... Car radio. The song on the radio when the hitchhiker is picked up in the van is Roger Bartlett's "Fool for a Blonde." Bartlett has said that Tobe Hooper chose the song because he thought the hitchhiker was a fool for Sally. Chicken Nugget. The game's composer, Ross Tregenza, used real chickens for the audio for Nugget. He luckily had a close friend and fellow composer that owned a farm with several chickens. The name Nugget was born from brand strategy lead Matthew Zepp. The name is a nod to the longtime nickname of his nephew. Escape hatch. When Sally, Marilyn Burns, escapes by jumping out the window, the glass was actually breakaway sugar glass, made by Bob Burns and Mary Church. In fact, Mary did the stunt of jumping out the window. A mattress and some empty boxes were placed outside the window for her to land on, but setting up the shot took a long time. With the humidity of the Texas summer, the breakaway glass began to dissolve. When I went through it, I was like a glass woman because now I had little particles stuck all over me because the stuff was wet, Mary said. If they'd waited probably another 45 minutes, I don't know if there'd been any glass in those windows. Jim Sedow's toughest scene to get right was the broomstick clubbing at the gas station. Since the prop was an actual wooden broom handle, he was afraid of hurting his fellow actor in the scene. After several takes of it looking fake, Sedow really struck his fellow actor in the final take. It was an exhausting shoot for everyone, but Marilyn Burns had it as bad as anyone on set. She did several takes of diving through the doorway of the gas station, and each time she would land knee first on the hard concrete floor. So many times that the floor tore up and severely bruised her knees. Hitchhiker's pocket knife. This weapon is a nod to everyone's favorite unlikable character, Franklin, from the 1974 film. According to creative director Ronnie Hobbs and designer Rob Fox, they knew the likelihood of Franklin ever appearing in the video game was slim to none, so this was their way of including him as a small Easter egg. Sissy's straight razor. After Kim Henkel and creative director Ronnie Hobbs finished designing Sissy's look and backstory, the only question left was what type of weapon would she carry. According to Kim's secret catalog of character concepts, he always envisioned Sissy wielding some type of straight razor, a small, portable weapon that could stay hidden until just the right time. It's petite and deadly, just like Sissy. It fit her personality perfectly. So even though the hitchhiker carries it in the original 1974 film, it did in fact previously belong to Sissy. As far as what happened to her, or where Sissy is during the 1974 film, well, that's a story for another time. No living animals were harmed. Initially, art director Robert Burns wanted set pieces of real dead cats and dogs. The crew acquired dead animal carcasses from a veterinarian and actually tried to embalm them with formaldehyde. Makeup artist and production assistant Dorothy Pearl, at the time the wife of the film's cinematographer Daniel Pearl, was injecting a dead animal with formaldehyde when she accidentally injected into her own leg through the animal. Toby Hooper then ordered that the dead animal carcasses had to be thrown out. The crew poured gasoline to cremate them. But the stench from the smoke from the bonfire started to make its way into the family house and added to an already foul stench set. Skin lampshades. Why was the film marketed as being based on true events? According to Kim Henkel, the film's marketing of being based on true events evolved over production. The famous crawl, for instance, was implemented to mark the story as an historical event that was more captivating, but wasn't meant to be taken seriously. Another inspiration for the story were tales Tobe Hooper was told by his family as a young child. They told him stories of a killer from Wisconsin that would use human skin for lampshades. This Wisconsin killer was the infamous Ed Gein. Kim and Tobe before Texas. Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper met during the filming of Hooper's 1969 film Eggshells. 4 years later, they would go on to create the production company Vortex Inc. and co-create the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Another Texas Chainsaw actor was also part of the Eggshells cast. Alan Danziger, better known as Jerry to Chainsaw fans, co-starred in the earlier film. Cheap thrills. Screenwriter Kim Henkel has said that one of the reasons he and Tobe Hooper wanted to make a horror film was their limited budget. If you have relatively little money, what are your possibilities? Henkel says. The clear answer was some sort of genre piece. Horror was the easiest because we felt that we didn't have to have any names in the cast. Production values weren't nearly so important as in some other realms, so it became the natural choice. Possible titles. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't the first or even second title of the film. The first two working titles were Head Cheese and Leatherface. Head Cheese was the first working title of the film, though, for most of principal photography. Leatherface was the working title until late into production when it was finally given the official title of The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper intended for the title to be spelled Chainsaw, but once the press were sent information on the film, and when the original poster was produced, the spelling got twisted into Chainsaw. Friend of Leatherface. Since both of her parents were working on the film, 3-year-old Karina Nicolau was often on set and struck up a friendship with Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen. He recalled their interactions. She had never liked my Leatherface mask. She was sitting with me one day while I waited for a shot setup. When Dottie, makeup artist Dorothy J. Pearl, came to put on my mask, it horrified Karina. As soon as it covered my face, she started screaming. I had Dottie pull it off. "See?" I said, "it's just me." She calmed down, but when I put the mask on again, she started screaming again. I realized she was too young to make the leap, to see my transformation from Gunnar to Leatherface and understand that I was still under the mask. So I made sure she never saw me in the mask after that, at least until the unfortunate meat hook scene. Ashtray. Actors are paid varying amounts for their work in film. For his voiceover in the opening monologue of the film, John Larroquette was paid with a single joint. Recent reports, however, suggest that his rate has gone up. The Apprehension Engine. Gun Interactive's own Wes Keltner led the direction of music for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. One day, Wes was at home brainstorming, and in the background he had 2015's The Witch playing. He wasn't watching the film, but was more listening to it. The sounds and music in the film struck him as he was listening. He asked himself, what instruments are they using to make those unique sounds? It turned out, those sounds were created by an apprehension engine. Wes was able to track down Tony Dugan Smith, who makes roughly 6 of these instruments a year, and was informed that the apprehension engine took around 7 months to build. Wes then had the honor to have a meeting with film composer and creator of music for The Witch, Mark Corvin. It was at this meeting where Corvin said, "Forget everything you know about playing guitar and other instruments. Approach the apprehension engine like a child, and experience and discover." From there, the direction of sounds for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game were born. Preparing for the role. To prepare for the role of Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen went to Austin State School, which was a 95-acre residential and training facility for adults with developmental disabilities. He was there several days to pick up the residents' mannerisms and how they walked and talked. It was important to Gunnar to portray the character authentically, without making a mockery of those who suffer from developmental disabilities. Friend of Leatherface. Scaring a child. In the original movie shoot, the caterer, Sally Nicolau, was married to the location sound recordist, Ted Nicolau. The day they shot the meat hook scenes, Sally brought their then 3-year-old daughter, Karina, to set when she was delivering lunch. Unfortunately, little Karina saw Terry McMinn, Pam, on the meat hook and began crying and screaming. Her father recalled, "I was in the living room while we were shooting that scene, and she came running in and skidded to a stop and just went completely white, started screaming and crying, and went running out of the house." Genuine bone furnishings. The bones used for props were real animal bones found at a veterinarian boneyard and a cattle pasture. Art director Robert Burns led the charge of designing most of the bone props, like furniture and light fixtures. Makeup set. Gunnar Hansen shared a lot of praise for his fellow cast members. In the 40th anniversary Blu-ray release's audio commentary, Hansen notes that actor Jim Cito, the cook, was probably the only actor in the movie who could look benign and then become extremely evil without any makeup. Possible titles. Friend. Spring of '73. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper spent January and February of 1973 writing the script, but production moved on rather quickly after that. They were shooting the movie by summer of 1973. Production manager Ron Bozeman would go on to work on another film that featured cannibalism. In 1992, he won an Academy Award as a producer for The Silence of the Lambs. Box office success. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre grossed over $30 million at the box office in North America and sold over 16 million tickets. With inflation, the film would have made over $150 million in box office earnings today. Hitchhiker's camera. The make and model of the Hitchhiker's camera is a Polaroid automatic 230 Land camera. It was manufactured and distributed from 1967 to 1969. This camera previously belonged to Maria Flores. The hitchhiker stole it after she was stalked and kidnapped by Johnny. meets the cook. Director Toby Hooper offered part of the old man and the cook, Jim Dow, after they worked together in the 1971 film The Wind Splitter. They were both part of the cast in said film. Hooper and Dow were the only txchainsawmassacre alumni to work on The Wind Splitter. Ron Bowes was the grip, Kim Hale was credited as the grip, and Sally Richardson was the assistant director. Toby meets the cook. The dinner scene. The infamous dinner scene was a long, trying shoot. Plastic surgeon W.E. Barnes created the makeup for Grandpa, and it took nearly 10 hours to apply to actor John Dugan. A lot of pieces and parts went into creating Grandpa's look. Hitchhiker's camera. Grandma's rocking chair. The remains of the mummified grandma, or even any mention of grandma, was not in the original script. Art director Bob Burns added her into the set to show that there were women in the family's history. Blood spatter. Leatherface mask. The holes and markings on the forehead of Leatherface's masks represent a hammer to the head. Back then, cows were slaughtered in the head with a sledgehammer, so the holes appear on the forehead of Leatherface's masks to show continuity with how actual cattle were slaughtered. Mask, prop, or skin. Toby Hoop. Masks. All natural masks. Playing with fire. Banned in the U. Banned in the U. Real tor. Behind the scenes photo. Bull. Chainsaw. Gun Interactive digitally scanned an original chainsaw model that was used in the 1974 film, and then made the necessary adjustments to ensure it was as accurate as possible to what was seen on film nearly 50 years ago. Skin.
my God! Listen to me. My name is Maria. Maria Flores. Please, find a way to get me out of here. I'm begging you. I don't want to die. Please.
Booty shorts. A lot of shots